What's up everyone, this is Nox, and welcome to the final part for our Zero to Hero Kinetic Blast Trickster. This is where I'm going to leave the character because pretty much every upgrade from here on out is hundreds of divines, and if you're already at that stage of the character, you know how to play it, you know how to upgrade it, but I will give you guys some options. So the main changes from part 4 to now are Mage Blood. We just picked up a Mage Blood and we got some nice flasks for it. So let's go over those. So I have a Quicksilver flask here, obviously increased effect both on the enchant and on the prefix for all of these flasks. And then for the suffix here, we have reduced reflected elemental damage taken. You can have these suffixes on any of these flasks just as long as they all match up. I have a silver flask with increased movement speed. I have a diamond flask with increased crit chance on its suffix, and I have a bismuth flask for additional elemental resistances. This bismuth flask really kind of opens up what you can do with your ring slots, and that goes into our next couple of upgrades here. So for this version of the character, we actually have less int than we did before. Mage Blood doesn't have int on it. We didn't really gain a ton of int from the rest of our gear because we didn't really change anything around, but we gained a lot of damage. So we dropped our split personalities that I was kind of mentioning that I was messing around with before, and I picked up a couple of eye jewels here. These have crit multi, int, and lightning damage to attacks. These were about a divine apiece, sometimes 2 divines apiece. I actually think this one was 2 divines. And we just slotted them where the split personalities were. This ended up being, again, less intelligence overall, but more damage, and that's really what matters. I mean, if we really wanted to do number go up, we could scale things a different way, and I'll showcase that in the POE. And just briefly talking about Mage Blood, it does not feel like that big of an upgrade for the content that I have been doing. So Mage Blood was about 100 divines when I bought it. It's definitely gone down in price when we bought it on our armor stacker, so it's about 100 divines now, and it's, you know, worth it. Mage Blood's awesome, and it really frees up especially resistances on all your pieces of gear, but it didn't make my character feel significantly more powerful. Headhunter, I think, is my preferred belt for this build. It's just the clear speed it gives you, the movement speed it gives you, the extra damage and character power it gives you, totally insane and worth using. I think Headhunter is my preferred way to play. I noticed I was a lot squishier with Mage Blood at this level of gear investment than I was with Headhunter, just because with Headhunter, you know, you have all the rare modifiers to just boost your player power to the moon. So that's just something to note. Mage Blood is obviously best in slot super long term for the Giga end game of this build, but that is not where this character is, and so I just wanted to sort of give everybody that heads up going into it. Talking about other potential upgrades. So now that we have Mage Blood, we are completely overcapped on resistances, and so we can mess around with our rings as much as we want. So you can get yourself a helical ring that looks something like this, with intelligence. The crit multi is from an essence, and you have all attributes on it, and you don't have to worry about the, you know, resistance loss from our cogwork ring or our 2-stone ring. You could also have a Nimse. So Nimse is really strong here. It lets us drop returning projectiles and throw in greater multiple projectiles for clear. I actually played around with this because I still have the Nimse laying around from the armor stacker, and it felt pretty good. It's nice not having to aim. You literally just like run forward and right click. You never have to aim because you can't aim anyway. So that's a potential upgrade. Again, this is an int downgrade, so if you're literally just worried about the intelligence number going up, Nimse is an int downgrade, but it's an overall DPS upgrade. Alternatively, you could get the Forbidden Flesh and Flame Jewels that I'll flash on the screen right now, and these essentially provide you Nimse without taking up the ring slot, taking the node from Saboteur. So these are very, very strong, but they are very, very expensive. So if you want to invest further into the character, that is something you could do. I also tried my luck at chancing a double influenced Raven Mask. I spent about 15 divines, I think, chancing and scouring this on the crafting bench, and I was obviously not successful. If I had been successful, I probably would have purchased a Bound by Destiny with the double crusade, with the percent increased intelligence with the Crusader mod. But I literally just got tired of trying to chance this helmet and gave up, basically. But that is something you could do. Chancing and scouring is a lot easier with it just being on the bench. You can rebind your left mouse click to your scroll wheel, provided your scroll wheel is still locked, and just rapidly click it. It just is time consuming and tedious, but it's something you can do. And then additionally from there, what we could do is get a Giga Amulet. So these amulets are like 500, like 350 to 500 divines or something. Double influence mods, triple influence actually, because that's what the percent damage per int is as well. And this is a nice upgrade for us. This is only about a 15% damage increase, 15% more damage increase over my current amulet, which isn't too bad, obviously, you know. But for that price point, I mean, I don't really want to play a single build for that long, and I'd rather move on to something else, especially this late in the league when it's getting harder and harder to trade. Another thing you could do is you could grab a Lich's Circlet with the elevated increased intelligence mod. These are very, very strong. People are making them. There's guides on YouTube on how to make them. And you just, you know, hopefully get lucky and you get the elevated influenced increased intelligent mod, and you have intelligence on the suffix. I believe they're fairly deterministic to make, but you do need to get a little bit lucky there. Okay, so jumping into the path of building real quick here, we have about 22 million DPS per projectile in our current setup. This is with Mage Blood and our 2-stone ring, and I wanted to sort of like showcase what some of the changes would do. For example, so a split personality tree would probably look something like this. We would need to drop this little wheel here and come over and grab a third cluster jewel to bring this over here. We do gain quite a bit of int, but we lose a little bit of damage per projectile. If we throw on Nimse instead, our damage goes down just a teeny bit. And then if we get rid of returning projectiles and put in greater multiple projectiles, we lose damage from this, but more projectiles are probably hitting. Again, the Merc is in the party here, so it factors in the lowered resistances from Dorionis prototype, as well as the Wrath aura with the Wrath effect. It's in here, as well as the lucky hits. But what I don't have configured is the returning projectiles set up in any of the configs. So with the split personality setup, we do gain a little bit of int, but we lose a little bit of damage. That's why I opted to not do it. Why spend more money on a cluster jewel if I'm not going to take the character any further? So they're set up here. Another thing you could do is you could grab a timeless jewel. So it's very popular to have a timeless jewel down here. However, these are pretty expensive, but with our setup here, we do have the opportunity to grab a timeless jewel here. So we'd want to grab a lethal pride, and we're looking for double damage and intimidate. So if I just click on find timeless jewel, click lethal pride, click search, comes up the whole, and I search for these two stats. You click filter nodes as well. You can search for the nodes in here. This is all within path of building. You click search, copy trade URL, and I can throw this into my browser and buy these. You know, I was looking, and these were like anywhere between 5 and 10 divines for 2 nodes up here. Again, small upgrades. If I wanted to take the character to 97, we grab this jewel socket right here, move Emperor's Wit down, and grab the lethal pride up here. So that is what we are doing for this character right now. That's where I'm gonna leave it. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Sorry this one took so long to get out. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and sub, and I will see you guys next time.